We're doing another one of these great 18th century German recipes today. And this one I have not done before. This is one, first time out, so we'll see how it turns out. This one's called yellow turnips. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so this recipe is called yellow turnips, and we don't, at least here in this area, we don't call them yellow turnips. We call them rutabagas. Where you're at, you might also know these guys as Swedes. And I've basically taken one rutabaga and cut off the outer exterior and shredded it into little pieces. It actually calls for grated turnip. I hope it turns out all right since I just shredded this. I'm not sure exactly what kind of consistency they were shooting for in this recipe. It's tricky. I mean, we're translating both from the 18th century to the 21st century and from 18th century German into English, so sometimes we gotta take these things as they come. Anyway, there's our rutabaga all shredded up. I've also got some onion here. It says chop an onion fine, so we got a nice big white onion that I've shredded up. I'm gonna just kind of mix these up, and the recipe's kind of all over the place in the order of things. It actually calls for putting some of the spices in at this point, which I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait to put some of these spices in till after we're sort of partially cooking this as we go. It says to basically take this and cook it with some butter. I think it means in a frying pan. So we're gonna fry this guy up in the pan here with some butter. As soon as that's all melted and hot, now we can add our shredded rutabaga. Well, these have softened up. That's what the recipe kind of calls for. It says once it's softened up, I can add some flour. Actually, at this point, I'm going to add some of the spices that were called for a little bit earlier. I've got some parsley flake here. It just says parsley. One of the things it calls for, which I don't think we've ever used in any of our cooking episodes, and that is cumin. So I've got some cumin here. I'm going to add, half teaspoon or so of cumin. Now it says once it's softened up, I've got the spices in. It says to add some flour, and this is the kind of thickener. It says about a spoonful, so I just added some. And now it says to kind of bring a sauce to it. In other words, give it some liquidity because we've kind of cooked out all the liquid here. I can add some broth. So I've got some beef broth here, not a lot. I don't want this to be wet and sloppy, but I'm going to add some broth to it. Okay, I admit it doesn't look the prettiest. And obviously at the very end of this recipe, it says that you can add some sweet cream, salt and pepper, nutmeg, or whatever spices you please. So I've got a little bit of sweet cream on here and some salt and pepper and just a touch of nutmeg. It was in the recipe. And rutabagas, okay, they're not my favorite. I'll just come right out and say it. But maybe I haven't had them the right way yet. Let's find out. Whoa. Wow. You really taste that cumin in there. And I think it balances these rutabagas or yellow turnips almost perfectly. I can taste the onions in there, kind of caramelized with the butter. Of course, you cook anything in butter, it's going to be good, right? But wow, I am astounded by what these guys did in here. I just totally didn't expect anything like this. This is meant as a side dish, and it's got some wonderful, really, really good balance of flavors. Maybe I just did it just right. Maybe it's me. I don't know. This one was really worth it toward the end. I want to thank you for coming along, experimenting with me, experiencing this dish that is pulled out of an old cookbook, a German 18th century cookbook that, you would never guess exactly what you're going to find. We even had that question a couple weeks ago about, what other kind of recipes are lost? Well, this one may not be, maybe in Germany today, this is a common dish, or in other parts of the world. Certainly isn't here. And as far as I'm concerned, this one's lost. This was a lost recipe, found, and is wonderful. I want to thank you for coming along as we do all these experiments, as we try these things out, as we live history, live these old recipes by bringing them back to life, by recooking and trying them out and seeing how they turn out. It is such a wonderful thing, and I get so much feedback, and it really helps me understand how important it is as we kind of try out these things from history. So thank you so much for all your amazing support. Thank you for coming along with us as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.